I did this one here, which is Tea and Krampus, which I did earlier in December. This one, which I posted at the end of December, which is my Tempest in the Teapot. I fixed it up a little bit. I had some perspective issues. This one's all in acrylic. This one's in chameleon pens. This is a little sticker, dragon sticker that I did on a piece of these multi-purpose labels that I use for the backing of my cards. I'll make a little label like that and sign it, which is something new I've started doing near the end of the year. But this guy had some smudge marks here, so I decided to make him into a sticker. Probably going to throw that in with the December cards. And this is a guy I'm going to work on today, which is a little octopus in a teacup. His original design, or its original design, is going to involve, as my sketch shows here, I can put that on the camera, a mermaid with a teaspoon sort of overseeing the whole thing, but I mean, I wasn't getting any detail with the poor little octopus, and that might be just a bigger picture for another time. Maybe I'll do it an expansion in May for Mermaid. We'll see. Alright, so here's going to be the card I'm going to work on today, and if I have time I might do second card. Hey, Star Trek The Next Generation family photo. So I do those kind of things. For people for Christmas. I'm not sure how I'm going to get into this card with my new setup. I've got a new light and I've got a new camera. Christmas presents, among other cool art things. I got some new tea, which I'm really excited to try. Speaking of tea and coffee challenge here. Some sketchbooks. And some funds to go out and get what materials and stuff that I need. I love getting gift cards to one of my favorite art stores so that I can just sort of restock as I need. So I want to give the impression that this little octopus is just loving stewing in this hot cuppa. I mean, I know it's not the most creative portrayal of tea and coffee that the group's seen, but when you've been preoccupied like I have in the last couple of weeks, for good reasons. I mean, finishing all those commissions, for one. All of the family stuff that surrounds the holidays. Yeah. Just need to take a little bit of extra time to process. So I'm a little bit behind on finishing these lovely cards. And then, for me, for Art at or not Art at Up with Friends, ATC, which stands for Artist Trading Cards, which are these small playing card-like size creations. That's going to be it for my participation, I think, for a little bit. The group is amazing, and if you don't already participate, head on over to Pabkins, who is Pabkins at Instagram, and she has also has a website. I believe it's the same spelling.com with all the information about the group. It's a science fiction fantasy art group, and there's all kinds of activities always going on throughout the year. There's a Discord channel, Make Me Happy card distribution, so you can sort of post what you really like to receive, and there are artists out there who like to take the time to fulfill those requests. If you are watching me on Twitch, you do see me go live once in a while. You'll see that I'm not actually going live. I'm taking everybody over to C. Papkin's feed. She does art on a regular basis and opens the cards for the event. Anyway, all that long-winded thing to say was I'm not likely going to participate much in 2020. I had a lot of fun doing it as a challenge to myself in 2019, but I've got some big events this year that I want to get focused on planning, and I have a few personal projects, ideas that I want to do to prepare for those events, so I might just disappear and be a cheerleader for a while in the group, or if there's a particular topic that I can't get enough of, I'll probably jump on board. But the cool thing about the group is all levels are welcome. You're not going to get art that's just a, well, sketch phase or line art drawing. Everybody is expected to, and always does, put in their best effort in whatever medium they work in. I think the only real restriction, is that keeping it on topic and theme, so don't go out of the theme for the month. It is a fantasy and science fiction group, so it's the kind of thing that if you have a surreal take on something, then on the norm, then that would fit into the topics really well. But if you're just gonna draw somebody at a bus stop doing normal somebody's at a bus stop things, how articulate is that, eh? Then that's not quite the group that this is. This group is definitely octopus and teacup thing. And it's all about really growing and challenging yourself to participate in many of the topics. That's sort of in a nutshell why I have been involved. I like to give myself a little bit of a challenge where I'm given a topic that really interests me, but then kind of a bit like an art direction. Is the 5 I want? Yeah, I think this is the one I want. A little thicker. Okay. But you get to sort of come up with your own creative idea based off of the topic, so you get a bit of guidance. You're not totally lost in trying to come up with something. And everybody's so friendly and welcoming. It's a really good group. Something I like to do with these cards is I like to do my first bit with an 005, so 0.05 micron pen or touch liner. In this case I use touch liners by Shinhan Art. But I do have some microns as well. I use my smaller size and I start building up so that I can get a little bit force perspective and dimension on some of it by thickening the lines in the right spot. And adding little details to, you know, indicate bumps and swirls and patterns. Might go back to the smaller one if I need it, but I just sort of slowly build up the lines until I'm happy with what's popping forward and what's not. Especially because I'm going to do this whole one in chameleon pens and markers. I find the balance. I'm just moving the camera. Find the balance of having really solid line art or a line art that you can follow with the chameleon pens as a bonus. I mean, you can get so much nice shading, layering, and stuff that goes on with those pens, but I just find having something that is solid right off the bat, if, you know, somebody would be happy to have without the color, is a really good thing. I have no music today. Still in research. If anybody out there is a streamer or a musician or whatever, you know, of a resource, CD or otherwise, that you can get that's happily Commons, Creative Commons licensed music, that would be great. Or if it's something that just sort of fits with my aesthetic and you're cool with being mentioned. I try to want to make sure everybody's compensated for their art. I mean, being an artist. But I also still have to go by a budget. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that gives the characters the right part of the character is on the forefront. Let's give a little bit more thickness to this tentacle here. As I'm doing this one, I'm kind of recalling sticker design. I think it was a sticker design. It might have even been its own card that Pavkins did of ramen, like a little creature in ramen noodles. Squid or an octopus, something like that. Anyway, I'm thinking of that as I do this. It's unintentional. I just was, I mean, I might do it yet, but I was sort of like, I see so many people doing little fairies and little mermaids and whatnot in the cup. And I kind of wanted to do a mermaid, but I didn't want to do a mermaid like everybody else was doing, so. Pardon me, a little sip of something. Water. Not tea today, unfortunately. going back in and getting some of these little cups, section cups. It's bumpy coming out. You can probably see it on the flip side of this guy here. He's hanging over the edge. Oh, this little octopus just sort of the eyes are closed, just below the water, kind of chilling. Super groovy happy. Groovy happy, that is like a technical term. True story. Oh. Yeah, I didn't do this one from scratch live because I didn't want to bore you with me figuring stuff out. Sometimes that can be fun, but on my first day back I wanted to be a little bit more organized. Speaking of organized, how's everybody's 2020 personal lists shaping out? Anybody doing any promises, resolutions to themselves? I always find that a challenge because I'm like, well, of course I'd love to have a resolution list. I never follow through with any of them. Well, actually, that's not true. I just followed through with this is me wrapping up last year with my commitment to ATC it up with friends. So I do use chameleon pens a lot, but I also use for my grays, I really love the Sketch. I think these are Copic Sketch neutral grays. They're I like to do a little bit of finding the tone stuff in it, and I find they're just the right blend of things together to sort of help me out to identify places and things in the shadow and get those forms popping a bit more. I like to do that with just this marker first, and then I can go over with my favorite chameleon pens. I do have a few. I don't have a lot of Copic or Copic. I call them Copic, so whatever. I have a few. I have the Chow little mini series of pastel colors that came out. My husband bought me a set, and I've got these Sketch, but that's it. I've gone all in on chameleon pens otherwise. In part because of the blending, in part because to me they feel a lot like watercolor, using watercolor techniques that I like. And just how they build up on the surface and how they interact with each other. And from what little experimenting I've done with the Copics, I find that they don't layer up quite the same way. They layer up nicely in relation to each other, but I find building a texture, a base, like that is harder. They don't blend as nicely together, in my opinion. Now, I've seen other people who can, you know, make them do amazing acrobatics with their Copics. So, as I'm fond of telling my daughter, everything takes practice. When somebody asked me if I used brush pen, and I do occasionally, and I'm not just talking like the brush nib, like I do have one brush pen that I got specifically to try it, but again, that's going to take me a lot longer before I decide to share that particular technique with anybody, because I haven't practiced enough. It is quite pretty, and would be the kind of thing I would try to do without without pencil lines. So right now, I'm doing this with my chameleon pens. I'm toning down my hot cocoa color. I call it the hot cocoa. Actually, it is called hot cocoa. I call it hot cocoa. I like it because I find that it makes a really good tea color, and we all know how much I love tea. If you add like a dash of the next color up in the 20 pack of chameleons, the bark, you get a nice darker coffee color. Which I'm not going to do today. I don't want coffee in the cup, I want tea in the cup. I've got my white opaque ink and gouache on standby. This is what I'd like to do my highlights and stuff on, because I just sort of see I might have tried the line there. I might correct that. I also have my Jelly Roll pen, which sorry, it's not a Jelly Roll, it's a Uniball Signo, which I find is good too, but that's something that I have to use after everything dries properly, because it just absorbs color like nobody's business. I want to do this little fella in my favorite colors, purple, and I'm going to do him in grapey tones. Let's see what this is all about. I might throw in a, oh, that's really great, I don't want that bright. So I'm going to do, really excited, okay, I'm going to do two colors, purple grape and mauve, from the chameleon pens. Just adding some dots, patterns, markers, and some shadow, because the next one I'm going to go on is far less dark. And I'm going to use the brush pen side on this one, so I can get it to connect, in case anybody's really curious about what's happening. It's blender touching the nib, which then softens everything. The problem I find with the brush pen nib in doing this process is that it doesn't evenly saturate the brush pen, so then you get an effect that's sort of like this. So you see some of it's blended and some of it's not. So I'll just try and already gone to solid. Which is why I tend to use the bullet nib more than I use the brush. I'm trying to build it two ways here because I want to make him, her, or it, I want to make the highlights rather natural with the white. I don't want to diminish that too much. I want to give it a subtle look, not a bright purple, oh my god. There's something I have to watch for in this pen. That's with the blender on, it can pick up the line art ink, and maybe I didn't wait long enough, because if I wait overnight before I start to color, I'm impatient, I don't. Can usually get away with it, but I don't seem to be able to pull that off today. Bring back to full strength on this violet or mauve. I think I'm going to try and throw in just... Wow, so subtly different. Just a hint of this blue lavender, just to... I love that it comes in this sort of almost bluish, like to me that's very close to blue container, but it's got a very purple cast when you use it. Sunshine's coming out a bit, which is nice. It's going to help me get a little bit of lighting in here. Hopefully it's not blasting you guys out of the screen. There we go. It's so subtly purple. Okay, this is supposed to be blue-violet. Yeah, it's definitely blue-violet. I'm not going to use it. It really is what it advertises. How about this guy? Deep violet. I might put that in there just a bit. Just a tiny touch to brighten. Myself for 2020, one of the things I've decided to do is to make sure the office, that my studio here that I work in, is cleaned and I can find things and don't take like an hour and a half to set up my screens so that I'm not panicked when I get on camera because I don't have everything ready. I'm partway there. Partway there. I've got a whole side wall here that needs to be dismantled. Paperwork put away. So, this little guy. I'm seeing some areas that might need a little darkening up in the tea now that things are drying up. Let's get some of the reflectors there. The fact that you've got a big purple octopus, not to mention other wriggly arms and parts underneath there, which aren't always showing at 2, 4, 5 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legs. Got a few of the legs showing. One of the things I've discovered throughout the years in my art is that I tend to be very shadow, or very contrast phobic in my artwork. I haven't pushed the shadows or the highlights as much as I'd like in some of my pieces. And that's sort of one of the things all through last year that I was trying to improve. And I'm trying not to overblow some of the color in the shadow, but I'm finding that sometimes going overboard intentionally helps. Just pushing one piece, even if you're like completely and utterly in love with what you've drawn, just to borrow a Stephen King writing advice piece, kill your babies. sort of an advice that you'd give for, you know, something that you're in love with in your story, but don't be afraid to just edit it. Same kind of thing with art. Push it, fail on something, like just take it to the point of too much once, just so you know, and then you can sort of regulate from there. But as I learned in one of my courses, it's a surprisingly common thing for artists. Am I gonna do this? This is me pushing it, but common thing for artists to have a problem with, especially starting out. Pushing your boundaries and pushing to fail, almost. Nobody wants to fail. Are you kidding me? Nobody wants to fail. This teacup looks awesome, plain, but it's also boring. Like, it looks like a teacup. It reads as a teacup. There is no question that this is a teacup. But it's just so plain a teacup. I'm going to make it a little less so. And anyone tuning in later, I am going to put these up on Twitch for the 14 days, and then I'm probably going to do cuts of this and put it up on YouTube. So if you're just tuning in and you want to know, this is going to be a regular thing. I've been pretty sporadic last year. Yeah, this is going to be a regular thing, and there are a couple ways you can sort of catch up or see things starting this year. I've decided. I had all kinds of really cool thoughts about what I'd populate my YouTube channel with, and I realized I'm just not having the time in the same way that I'd like to. And so I'm focusing here on Twitch. And then we can share all that goodness later on. So if you're here on Wednesdays, this time frame, this is where you're going to find me. And that way I won't be split across 6 or 7 different things. Alright, starting to stand out. Back to my advice of pushing the boundaries here on contrast. I'm just going to add in a hit of the darkest dark that I have in some areas. Where he's resting against stuff. I realized I've just made a major light source error. Hey, whatever. Beautiful oops. We'll fix that up by balancing it properly. My shadow on the teacup should be coming from over here, because this is, everything is casting this way, and I was trying to figure out why the heck the teacup wasn't following this guy's line. It was actually flattening underneath him, and I'm like, what is going on? I see what's going on. I see what's going on, and it is not the end of the world. I just have a gray teacup that he's sitting in, and use my darker colors to bring that back into balance. A little bit of balanced light. I think we've got, yeah, I think we're getting it back into touch here with what it should be. My goodness. Seriously, Chris. What are you doing? There we go. Hello, light source. Sometimes I like just putting in the corner a little arrow in pencil to remind myself of what flip I'm doing, but I did not in this case. Put that dark piece right there on the cast. There we go. And this is 2. See, I'm working most of these up with the Copic sketch. I'm kind of glad I did. There we go. Lighting fixed a wee bit. I'm going to have a little bit darker right there just to get that hit and really suggest the form of the cup. Sorry guys, this is not as evenly matched as I had thought. Just to counteract some of that activity I did over there. This little dude's so cute. I'm having fun with this. This is like almost a sticker design. Don't think I'm going to make it a sticker design, but it's almost a sticker design. So I've done a picture where I've got a white background, and one of the rules of ATC It Up with Friends, Artist Trading Cards, card group that I'm part of, and I'm doing this for, is that they don't like white background cards, and understandably. I mean, that just took me, what, 45 minutes that I've done this in this broadcast so far, and about 15-20 minutes I did earlier of the sketch and earlier brainstorming on another section altogether, but everybody wants to have, or puts effort into their cards. So we're not going to leave this as a straight up white background. We're going to put some pattern and texture into the back of this. And here's another spot where artists get nervous. I get nervous. I think he's looking really good. I'm really happy and really pleased with how he's turned out. Or he or she or octopus. Octopus. But I'm really nervous about putting whatever background I'm going to put on. I think what I want to do is create a nautical theme lace doily underneath them. And then just some kind of fuzzy, generically colored background, fuzzed out so that your focus is still on the front and on him. This dude relaxing in the bathtub, more or less, which is a cup of tea. So, that said, I'm going to take some of my goose paper, as my daughter calls it. I've used it for like test things and I've got stuff on it. So I always keep a pile of this on the side because A, she likes to draw, and B, I like to doodle and sketch. So if I'm not sure how I want to do this doily, I'm going to draw some, keep him here. I'm going to draw some ideas down. I might start with like an anchor. Pattern. Hopefully it doesn't get too rude here. Anchors away. Maybe? Or do I do waves? Maybe that is something that I'll do sort of a stylized wave pattern as the tablecloth. That could be interesting underneath with that in fine liner. I have to remember my perspective lines too on this. The horizon on this cup is short because it's a close-up. I don't want it super close to the table, but it's not going to be, might be somewhere in here. I mean, I could totally do this as the whole background is the tabletop, but I kind of wanted to have it something on the edge, like it's not, yeah. And since this is going to be close up, we do this, radiating, and kind of going weird as we go out, stretched out here. I don't know, it doesn't really make a whole lot of logical sense that this would have you know, radiate from the cup, but I don't care. It would be cool. Oh boy, I'm just looking out my window. Here comes the snow again. Anybody on the East Coast, you're already just rolling your eyes, I'm sure. Yep. Been there, done that. I'll be honest, I was a little bit sad that we didn't have a whole heck of a lot of snow. Keep your opinions to yourself, Clemis. Yeah. That would be probably reaction from some people I know. part of what I love about having so much snow is that my daughter has so much fun playing in it. I hate shoveling it, but she just is just beside herself in whatever imaginary game she may be playing at the time. She's just building forts and creating stories, and I just like, yeah, I'll shovel some snow if that's my reward. Oh, this is sort of a little doily pattern that I wanted to have on it. Pardon me. There we go. I guess my question to myself is going to be, do I do this in a light color because I don't want to draw attention necessarily to the detail on the table, or do I do it in black? Well, I think the easy answer is this is baby blue. Yeah, that's actually what that's going to do. This is baby blue. Sadly, baby blue and my chameleon brush on the big one pen and on the small pen have never, ever worked. It's a great blend pen to use as a blender, but there is no color to it. So because I'm predictable today, I'm going to use the L. Which is just a little bit subtler than the one that I really want to use, which is a sky blue. would imagine whoever owns this teacup with their nautical theme stuff wouldn't be too disappointed seeing this cutie little octopus popping in. At this point in time, I'm just not following the guidelines. They're not guidelines because you can change them. Following those guidelines along the way. I'm sort of leaving them open to interpretation as I go. Now, my light, I'm glad I have a light, is my primary source. My sunshine's gone away as the flurries have started outside my window. There. So there's a really kind of interesting pattern on the tablecloth. Which is going to get a little bit of an extra treatment here to get the shadows and put it in place. Should give it a second or two to dry. I'll just pull apart all over the place. And we're getting a little close to going over time, so that's fine. It's 2 o'clock. I'll keep going for a little bit longer on this piece. Nope, snowplows here. I'm doing a really cool, they're just sort of cutting the edge off the bottom there so that you can see as you're going out of your driveway better. Love when they do that. Look at this guy. Look at this guy going along behind him with the truck picking up branches because this thing that is going by is tall and I'm sure it's taking out some of the trees as it goes. I don't know why I'm finding that amusing. Yeah, that's what that sound, if you're hearing it on the camera, that's what it is. It's the snowplow going past. We've got the edger going past. In case you didn't believe me about snow. Pulling that shadow out across. Alright, now we got that going. I think it would be really nice to have, I have a blue, here it is. That's too blue. Some kind of shade going on there with the cornflower top. It is what it is. That is cornflower blue on that. I'm just going to use that over top just to bring in some of that color. And really, I don't want to lose the color of the cornflower lines that I've done beneath. So when I go on this gradient, I'm going to try to preserve some of it. If I do take away some of it, then I'll go back in with the lines. And that, in a nutshell, is how chameleon pens work. And why I kind of like them. I'm charging up the chamber again for a couple seconds just to get that really pale gradient going on in the top. And then I start bringing it back down into the foreground. And it layers really nicely. The shading that I did already is there. I haven't lost it. The detail, the pen work is still there. Haven't lost it yet. Going in for another layer here just at the top. So the horizon is still there and visible. Excuse me. So I went with the blue on the thing, mostly to represent the water or the waves, but also because it contrasts a little bit with the tea. It works together, and what I'm thinking of, but I'm not sure I'm going to do, so nervous, is doing a cornflowery color, not cornflower, but yellow color. Corn silk almost. I don't know what it's called. I think buttercup in the background. Yeah, it might be a terrible idea. I'm gonna find out. To help make him stand out. I'm kind of being intentionally loose and messy on this. So I am going to go back in with a blender pen and play with some texture here. There we go. This looks like he's chilling. I love it. Okay. Oh, sorry. This is just, I keep kicking this. There, sorry, mini. So last but not least on this particular piece, I'm going to bring my blender pen in. And I should have done that the same way, I didn't. I find that just wetting the color with the blender soaks into the page and makes it very grainy, and I love it. I love the effect. makes it very textured and doesn't look as smooth at all. I know it sounds weird, but that's sort of what I'm going for with that guy. So, I don't know. I think I might want to do the pattern on the table just a little darker now that I'm looking at it. This is one thing that I haven't solved yet. I want to have a tower that my markers can be on. That lets me keep them flat, because that's how the ink stays evenly distributed. That might be nicer in there. But still within range of where I can access them. Studio goals. The fact that I even have a studio is like awesome. And studio is really my glorified office, but I don't care. It's mine. So this may have made it just a little too busy, but I'm not worried. Let that dry a bit, and then I'll go over again with the corn flour, because then I can really make the corn flour. Don't have to be so careful with it. See? Me, impatient. Ideally, I should have waited just a bit longer, but that's not gonna harm this. You can already see a little bit of the thatching that's going on just from using the blend on my intentionally uneven . Oops, really? I gotta fix that. So that's the blue, it's like a blue lavender combination, those colors. And I want to go the next step up, but I'm kind of afraid that the next step up is indigo on their scale. Well, no, it could go royal blue. Unfortunately, it's not the same tone. Here's the indigo. It's starting to get a little dark, but that might be able to bring that shadow back, so let's do that. There. Get the cup sort of situated on the table again. There we go. So there's that shadow. Looks like the cup's floating. I don't really think I need too many highlights on this guy. I think I did a pretty good job of keeping the areas I wanted to be light. Here. Now we've got a shadow that indicates the cup and the saucer a little bit better. Here they come again! My blender can come back. So we didn't have time to do that fourth card, but maybe maybe during the day tomorrow, if I get done in time on my start of my 2020 commissions, I might get a chance to put some effort into that. I really would like to, because our organizer for the group is really dedicated and puts a lot of her own time and money into maintaining the group. So if you can always participate with 4, so that she can have 1 to add to her collection if she desires, or have them, if you're cool with it, you can have them to auction off as well to raise funds for the group. So not one person has to just one person has to pay the fees. Then it's always great, and why not? Let's end off the year with a little Prezi. I think her birthday is coming up too, if I remember correctly. She and I are the same sign. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining me today, doing this little art card, this little octopus in a teacup. If you're curious to know what I'm doing during the week, I sometimes pop on Facebook just to chat and work, and a lot less formal. Well, this is formal, but a lot less organized and planned. There is no schedule. I just show up. Here I'm back on Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern, and I usually go for about an hour, and then that is that. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week. Ciao.